Hi guys! I'm gonna give you a couple quick seconds. Hopefully everybody is refreshing their screen right now and we're getting on live. I have you on my iPad and then I've got my computer set up over here so that I have my notes and I can verify that you guys are seeing me. So I'm gonna check really quick and make sure that I am seeing myself on the page. I am, yay! Okay, so I'm seeing 23 of you on so far, 33, okay, it's going up. So, first off, I am and have been like beyond excited all day long. I love the fact that this is my almost 6th year in the business and I still get butterflies when I think about going on a call with you guys. So many of you, you're 2015, 2016 coaches, you are brand new. I mean, you are brand spanking new. And I guess what excites me most is I don't think most people know what they have in front of them with Beachbody because, you're just getting started and you're in the hustle phase. And obviously, like, your coach is a superstar. If you're in this group, your coach is a superstar diamond coach. So you've seen what's possible in their life, but sometimes it's hard to imagine it in your own life. And so my hope is today is, number one, get you super fired up for the fact that you're in this group because there are 24 15-star diamond coaches that are going to pour into you over the next 24 days. And I think that's pretty freaking cool. So just to prep you guys, I know that we have, I put out a little calendar that Bonnie had made. We have different segments based on recruiting, based on showing you guys real examples of the way that we talk and have conversations with people, action steps and how to do challenge groups and some unique ways to maybe do that to make it fun. And most of all, we want to pour into you the vision of what is and what can be, what is in front of you. And so that's my job today, is to kind of give you a little bit about what's helped me to really run with this business from the get-go. There's some key differences that I had in my life and I chose to utilize in this business that have really helped me to be able to conquer some of my biggest fears and setbacks and be able to achieve things that I would have never thought possible. Like literally, I have realized that God really does dream bigger dreams for me than I had dreamed for myself. And this has been the vehicle to be able to do that. So I want to show you really quick what everything looks like. So I've got my computer over here and I have my notes. I am so visual. I can't do a call unless I have slides. So even though you're not going to be seeing the slides, because I don't have slides on Facebook Live, I'm going to post the slide afterward. I only made one, but it kind of keeps me on track. Otherwise, this could last an hour, and I promise you it's not going to. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is taking ownership. Because as you guys go into this business, obviously some of you probably came through a challenge group. You didn't even know what you were getting yourself into. You maybe had results of the program. You were super excited about that. You caught yourself telling other people about it, and you're kind of thinking to yourself, okay, I'm making my coach a lot of money by referring these people out. I should do this too. That's how I kind of came into the business. I didn't come through a coach, but I was basically a challenger before there was challenge groups and sharing it with everyone because I was excited because when you're doing something good for yourself, you're excited about it and you naturally share that with other people. And so I realized I was making Beachbody a lot of money and I thought I would like to have a cut of that. So that's why I fell into this business. But when you do, when you come in that way, I don't think you're thinking like a business person. So I want to talk about going from a hobby, treating this like a hobby, and treating this like a business. Because as you might have seen through your coach, through them sharing their story with you of success, this is not something that it is a hobby to a lot of us. A lot of us have turned this into multiple millions of dollar business for ourselves, and it's created a life of freedom. And I've seen it happen time and time again with some of my coaches, and it's been one of the biggest blessings beyond just my husband and my daughter and my future baby in my entire life. And not only because of the income, but because of the fact that I've been able to combine something that I'm passionate about, that gives me purpose, that I get to actually feel like I'm making a difference, with financial freedom. And there's not many things that I know in life that you're able to do both of those at once. So if it is your goal to make this into a business, whether that be that you're making an extra $500 a week at some point, whether that be you make $50,000 a year, whether that be you make $100,000 a year one day, or even if your goal is to become $1 million earner, there has to be a switch that is made, and you have to start thinking of this as a business owner would. And a lot of you probably didn't own businesses. I owned one and completely failed before this. And it's because I treated it like a hobby. I wasn't focused enough. I didn't think thoroughly enough about what I was doing. And so I want you to ask yourself this question, like, if you had invested $100,000 instead of the $40, or maybe instead of the $140 that you spent on the challenge pack, if you would have invested $100,000 when you got into this, would you be treating it the same way you are today? And I remember hearing this on a Craig Holiday call. He's a guy who Beachbody used to hire back in the day. And I was a very new coach. And I remember thinking to myself, no, no, if I would have invested $100,000, I would be treating it very differently. And then he went on to ask, do you want to make $100,000 a year with this? And I was like, yes, easy answer, right? But you're not going to get there by treating it like a hobby. You're not going to get there by doing it when you feel like it. And so it was in that moment that I sort of realized, gosh, I've got to take this more seriously, and I've got to treat it like as if I had invested everything that I own into it. Because if I do, I'm going to see it eventually turn into that $100,000 business that I would love for it to be. I want to also ask you, if you showed up to your real job, I know many of you guys probably work normal jobs, if you showed up to it as consistently as you do your Beachbody business, would you still be employed? Like, would you still have a job? And I think it's funny because for some reason, I don't know if people think this is like Monopoly money we're paid in or what, but I tend to find people are very inconsistent with this, but yet they're very consistent with going to the job. Even if they hate that job, they're gonna go to it because that's their bread and butter. That's the thing that they know pays their bills. But I find that they're very wishy-washy when it comes to their Beachbody business, but yet they wanna be successful in it. And they're not, and it's because of the inconsistency. This business is so important to be consistent with it, even on the times you don't feel like it. And I guess that's kind of the disconnect that I realized I had previously, and other things that I had done, and that I've seen a lot in coaches that are struggling, is that they are only showing up when it's convenient, that they're only showing up when they feel like it. And I'm telling you right now, as much as I love this business, and I love it, there are many days I don't feel like it. There's things in the business I don't enjoy doing, but I do them anyway. And that's the difference maker that I've seen between coaches that are very successful and coaches that aren't. And it's not anything huge. It's not like the one person that's doing it does it so much better. It's just simply that they do it. And they do it whether or not they feel like it or not. I promise you, Bonnie Engel, I promise you, Shay, they show up when it's inconvenient. They show up when it's hard. They show up when they don't feel like it. And they show up even if the kids are running around and there's a million things going on. They're showing up. I bet they're on this call right now. Even though they don't need to hear this information, they've already heard it 1,000 times. Because the people that are running a business, they know they have to show up in order to be successful. They have to show up and lead their team from the front. And that leads me to my next question. If you were your challenger, or if you were your coach, would you want you on your team? Are you the kind of person that if your entire team was a little duplicate of you, they were duplicating exactly what you're doing on a daily basis, would they succeed? Would they be the kind of challengers that you want to have? Like, are you the kind of person that gets in a group, and trust me, I know many people have been guilty of this, myself included, that you commit to a group, something like this, maybe in the past, and you have all the intention in the world of completing it, but then life gets busy and you kind of forget about it, and it's like it goes away. Or you tell yourself, and this is what I was saying earlier yesterday, you tell yourself, I'm going to be consistent with this, I'm going to make sure I stay on top of every video, but then the videos start to they start to pile up, and you're like, oh, I'm going to watch that later. Or I have forever and a day with Shalene Johnson's emails or Brendan Burchard's emails, told myself, oh, I'm going to watch those videos when I have time. Like that was ever going to happen. And they have literally sat in there for 2 years, and I've never watched them because I didn't make them a priority, and I didn't make myself just do it. So what I'm trying to help you guys to do with this group is catch yourself when you're making those excuses, because trust me, we all make them. We all tell ourselves, oh, I missed today's workout, I'll double up tomorrow. And we all know we never do. So let's be honest with ourselves, catch ourselves in our own lies that we tell ourselves, and prevent ourselves from doing that, because it really is going to be 24 days that can blow your mind, that can make you into the kind of coach that I know you want to be able to lead a tribe of people and change a whole lot of lives, including your own. So that's something I want you to self-check over the next little bit. Are you the kind of customer? Are you the kind of challenger you'd like to have? That kind of challenger that is consistent with their workouts. They're not perfect, right? They're not going to be, 100% all the time. They're not going to be perfect with their eating, but they're pretty darn good, and they're going to get results by the end of that 3 to 4 weeks that you do your challenge group. Is that you? Check yourself on that. Make sure that you're committing to the program, that you're actually sticking with it. I am pregnant right now, and I have recommitted myself to working out, to staying with an actual program, and I'm not just going to jump around anymore, because for a long time I've been telling myself, I like to pick out the program I do every day. But that is a great excuse for me to do the same workout that I have found to be easy and not challenge myself. So what I've done is I'm going to commit to Chalene Extreme, and I'm going to make sure that I am sticking with the program as it is in the guidebook, because I want to be that example challenger that I want to attract, because like attracts like, whether we like it or not, right? And then as far as coaching goes, are you the kind of coach you want to attract? Do you have the qualities? And I don't know how many of you guys have done the assignment where you write out like the 10 qualities you'd love to have in a leader and then rate yourself on those things. But that's a real check that you can do to really say, oh shoot, I suck in that area. I really need to work on that. And I still to this day do that. I know when I need to improve, and I work hard on being able to improve those areas, even still 6 years later. So it's something that you need to do on a regular basis to catch yourself. And then going to your social media, asking yourself, if you were a challenger or a prospective coach, would you know you were a coach? Would you be attracted to you? What would make you stand out amongst everyone else? These are things to do on a daily, sometimes basis, to be able to help you to become a better coach. It's kind of like self-coaching in a way. So those were the first things I wanted to talk about. Second, finding your why. And I know that we hear the why thing all the time, and I honestly don't think I really heard that a lot in the beginning, but I don't think I really understood. And it's funny, Shay, one of my coaches, Shay Stanford, we were sitting in her garage, and she was explaining to me how she was explaining it to her coaches, and it really helped me to be like, yes, that's what it is. She was saying, what's the thing that pisses you off? What's an injustice that you see that really gets you fired up? Because until your why is painful, it's really hard to let it push you past your comfort zone. Because at the end of the day, this is scary, right? You're doing stuff that you've never done before, talking to people you've never talked to before, and for you to be able to push yourself to do that kind of stuff, you have to have something that is more painful, in my opinion, than the thing that you're going to do. So I know a lot of times we do vision boards, and I have a vision board, and I do keep it right by me too. So let's see if you can see it. It's backwards, but these are all the things that I want to do. They're important to me, and of course they do motivate me. But you know what motivates me more is things that piss me off, things that are painful. And so a lot of times I'll see people, put their why as they want to, for a challenge group, they'll say, I want to have a great bikini body, and they'll post a picture of ripped abs, But at the end of the day, when you're sore and you're tired and your baby's crying and everything in the world seems to come against you, someone else's abs just are not motivating enough. But let me tell you what did motivate me back in the day was the fact that I was avoiding going out on dates with my husband because I didn't want to run into people, and for them to see me, still with my baby body, and I didn't want to put on clothes because it wasn't comfortable and nothing fit, and I didn't feel sexy. I didn't feel confident anymore. And I was avoiding taking pictures with both my friends and with my baby because I didn't want to be in those pictures. I didn't want to be seen. That was painful enough for me to do it on the days when I didn't want to do it. And that is so much more motivating to me than a bikini body that I may or may not believe I can have. And so when it comes to your why, with the business, it needs to be something that fires you up. It needs to be that thing that when you're laying in bed at night, it feels like the elephant on your chest. So for me, it was a stack of bills that seemed never ending, and it was the vision of my daughter around this age, she's now 7 years old, coming to me, being so fired up and so passionate about doing something. Maybe she wants to be, I don't know, she wants to ride horses or something like that. And I have to tell her, what I was told my entire life, which was, I'm sorry, we just can't afford that. Or for her to be a cheerleader and, be leaving the game alone because her parents, can't afford to take off work to be there for her. And that vision drove me so much more than the thought of like doing, making it rain in a club, or like, I don't know, going on like a vacation with my family. That sounded great and it definitely motivated me, but it didn't push me the way that the other vision did. Does that make sense? It needed to fire me up. It needed to scare the crap out of me to get me out of my comfort zone and make me have the courage to be able to do things that I had never done before. And so I think that hopefully that description helps you to think and reflect on what's been motivating you, so that you can really dig deep. And I think it's important. It's an important step not to skip, or not to just like quickly write down on your getting started sheet and put in the corner. I believe that your why needs to be in front of you every single day. I believe both things. I believe both the vision board of what life can look like in a couple years, but also the things that are super painful need to be in your face every single day, because if they're not, you won't have as much fight in you. And you're gonna need to fight for this, because dreams don't come easy, but like they say, they are worth it. And so I want you guys to, if you haven't done that already, take the time to sit down and pay attention, or just pay attention. Pay attention to that thing that sits on your chest at the night. Pay attention to that thing, that dream that maybe died inside of you, that maybe you put in the attic at one point because you didn't believe it was possible anymore, and fight for that sucker. Let's see, I already went through that. Okay, so motivation is what gets you started. Obviously, you guys got excited when you had seen your coach's success. Maybe you had some results of the program that gets you excited, but it's the commitment, it's the discipline that will keep you going. And it's really important to learn to measure your success and growth in multiple ways. And I know that we do this with our challengers. We say, don't just judge it by the scale. Make sure that you're, measuring your weight loss, and that you're taking your before and after photos, and that you're judging it by how you're feeling about yourself, how much stronger you're getting in your workouts, how many more reps you can do, how much more weight you can do. Because if they just measure it one way, sometimes success in that one area is slower, and so you can get easily discouraged when in reality you've changed in all these different ways, but you're not paying attention to it. And I think the same is true in this business. A lot of times we are only focused on our paycheck, or we're only focused on the goal of, let's say Diamond Coach. And so we are seeing everyone else, it seems like, doing those one or two things that we're focused on, and we are not paying attention to the other ways that we're changing. We're not focused on the fact that, oh my gosh, we're starting to be more positive than we were before. Oh my gosh, for the first time since I became a mom, I actually have friends that are older than 2 years old. Like, they're not paying attention to the fact that they're finally taking care of their bodies, or that for the first time that they've been able to have someone say to them, you are the one that inspired me to change my life. Or somebody writing them and just simply saying, I go to your wall when I want to be inspired, because of your positivity. Don't just pay attention to one area of your business, because if you do, you're missing out on all the amazing ways that this business changes your life. And I was at the top 10 trip, and I can't remember who I was talking to. She might be on the call. But we were talking about a call that Christina Delgado had done for her team. And she talked about, close your eyes and basically think of what life looks like without Beachbody. Let's say Carl Deichler calls and he says, I'm sorry, the company's closing down. There's no longer going to be, Beachbody. You're not going to get paychecks anymore. You're not going to be any kind of rank. You're not going to be a coach. There's no new challenge groups. There's not going to be any Beachbody workouts. Beachbody On Demand's gone. You're not going to be able to connect with these groups and with these women anymore. And imagine all of that taken out of your life. What does life look and feel like? I think too often we take for granted, oh, it was your national makeup call. We take for granted what it looks like in life without this. And I think that's so cool. That's such a cool way to think about it, because you're right. I have been blessed in this business way more in other areas than I have financially, because I needed something like this to give me a purpose, to drive me to my dreams, and to be the vehicle to get me to all the other things that I've ever wanted to do with my life. And just the friendships alone that I've had through this, I would give it all back just to keep those. And so try not to get too distracted with one thing. Try not to gyp yourself by measuring one specific area of your business. And the whole comparison game, you have no idea where that person started and what they're doing behind the scenes. So just because you started at the same time that, let's say, Jessica did, Jessica maybe had a year of being a product of the product. Maybe Jessica was in a sorority and built all kinds of friendships with people, or she's been doing charity work for 3 years and she just missed socialite. Well, before this, you were a brand new mom. All of your friends, you were the first of all your friends, and this is me, first of all your friends to have a kid, and you really hadn't built much of relationships. You had taken those for granted, and you're starting from scratch. You can't really compare you and Jessica. Jessica had better what I call coach karma, because she had put in years of building relationships, and she had built trust with people, and that's cool. That's awesome. Good for Jessica. But you can't expect to all of a sudden jump into something and have everyone, if you quit everything you've ever started, like I had, expect everyone to believe that, oh my gosh, yes, just because Lindsay says she's going to do this, she's going to go do it. You have to prove to them, and you owe it to them to prove to them that you're going to stick with this. And that's done through consistency, and that's done through you sharing your results and your journey. And it's okay. You can't be mad at those people because that's what you had shown them in the past. So even though you know you changed and this is different, you have to keep going and not be mad at the people that are maybe questioning it a little bit, because that's what you showed them in the past. That's your coach karma. So moving forward, and I'm going to probably be done in a couple minutes. So the power of vulnerability. And I wanted to talk about this because a lot of times I know people get freaked out about sharing their story, and they want to leave parts out because they don't want to offend anybody, or they're scared of being judged. And I was on this top 10 trip, and it is my favorite thing that we do the whole entire time. And we always wait till like the last couple of days, which I never understand. They should do it in the beginning. But we sat around in a big circle, and one by one, we told our stories, and we shared different aspects of who we were before coaching, what just made us decide to become a coach, and what coaching's done for our lives. And we got deep, and we start off in these trips, and some of us know each other and some of us don't. But we start off, kind of weird because we're like mostly introverted people, never around anybody, locked in our houses all the time. And then by the time that we get done with all these stories, I mean, not only do we sit there and cry through them all because these people have been through so much, but we feel connected, and we are like lifelong friends. And it's because of being vulnerable. It's not because of how awesome they are, and of course they're all rock stars. It's because we feel connected because we've been through similar trials and tribulations, or because we finally see why they are that way. If there's a couple of us in the group, myself included, that I tend to like segregate myself a little bit from the group because I was always alone as a child. So you realize why someone is the way that they are because of what they've been through. And you're so much more compassionate and so much more drawn to them because of their vulnerability. And I think as coaches, you guys have to be the ones that are vulnerable first. If you expect people to come to you, think about what's like the scariest thing ever to talk about is, I'm out of shape and I need to lose weight. That's scary to talk to somebody about. So you're asking people to be vulnerable with you, right? You must be vulnerable first. You have to put your guard down if you want them to put their guard down. And you telling people that either, let's say you've fallen off the wagon and you really haven't been as committed as you said you would be, but you're drawing a line in the sand and you want to be able to push forward, and you are human, but you are also dedicated to taking people on this journey with you, and you just feel like you need accountability the same way everybody else does, and you're looking for people like that. That is so much more real than you pretending that you haven't gained, the 10 or 15 pounds and pretending to have it all together. Because let me tell you, perfection, you don't have any connection with somebody who's perfect, because we don't relate, and we actually put our guard up when we think somebody is perfect because we don't want them to judge us. So if you want people to open up to you, you've got to first open up to them. And I think that that's a really important aspect to succeeding in Beachbody. It's something that it took me a little bit to be able to let that guard down. I think it was a year into my journey as a coach that I got a national wake-up call and told people that a couple years prior I had filed bankruptcy at 25 years old. I was so embarrassed of that. I hadn't even told my family until that call. So I realize how hard it is. I realize it's difficult to share your journey, let's say a fitness journey, when you're in the middle of it. That's scary. But it is so much more inspiring than you trying to pretend you have it all together. And it's so much more freeing. And that's the best part about it, is you're going to feel like a weight lifted off of you when you get to be yourself, when you get to be true to who you are. And let me tell you, I have like a list. I'll show you the slide after this, but you know, some of the girls in the top 10 outcasts, you know, were picked on and bullied, alcoholism, drug abuse, depression, eating disorders, poverty, came from nothing, birth defects, underdog, bankrupt. 9 out of 10 girls on that trip came from broken families, divorced families. And so we don't have our crap together, you know? We all wonder how we've done this, but it's literally been the consistency. It's literally been being able to open up to people and having people look at us and say, wow, you know, like if she can do it, I can do it. And she's not perfect by any means, so I could probably do this too. We all have the same fears. We all have the same anxieties that you are feeling today. It's just that we have a why that's big enough and scary enough, and we have it in front of our face every single day, that it makes us do the things that we're fearful of, because we're more scared of the opposite, of not doing it, of going back to what Beachbody would be if it wasn't, or what our lives would be without Beachbody. And I do remember Shay saying that she had considered quitting Beachbody, but then she thought about what she'd be going back to. And I thought that's a great way to look at it. It's like, what are you going back to? What was life like before Beachbody? I think too often we like get so overwhelmed that we forget what it's brought into our life. So anyway, let's see, I think I'm right up. Ooh, 26 minutes, yay. Okay, so as we've already shown you guys with the breakdown, there's going to be a video tomorrow and 2 videos in a row, and then we're gonna go live over the weekend. So you'll be able to kind of catch up with the videos whenever, but I want you guys, seriously, make a commitment to yourself that you're going to watch them day by day, that you're not going to get behind, that you're going to use this opportunity to put freaking rocket fuel in your business. Because let me tell you from experience, the month or 2 leading up to Summit and the month or 2 leading up to the new year are probably the most important months of your entire business. I know sometimes people think it's actually like right after Summit, but no, that's not true. And it's not right after the beginning of the year either. That's when the momentum kind of kicks in, but it's all based on the work that you do now. And it's the hardest. I realize that in times like this, people are just going on summer vacation, their kids are out of school, and there's a lot more distractions. But it's actually in the slowest times that you have to buckle down, that you have to get creative, that you have to think outside the box, and that you have to push harder than you ever have. And I promise you, it pays off in huge dividends. Take a second, or not even a second, take a day sometime this next week and write out a business plan. Write out what you're willing to sacrifice to attain the vision that you have for your life. Write out things that you refuse to give up on. You know, maybe that's your daughter or your son or somebody in your family that you really want to be able to support financially. Whatever that might be, get real about it and get real with yourself on what excuses you're making. You might be awesome one day, but are you awesome 7 days a week? Are you showing up when it's hard? And give yourself a freaking pat on the back every time you do, because it's a big deal. Not many people do that, and that's why this business has like a lower success rate, and people think, oh, it's too hard to get to the top. But no, all you have to do is the little things that most people are not willing to do. They overlook it. They think it's not important, but it is. And they're little, and they don't take a ton of time. It's just you have to do them consistently. So anyway, I appreciate y'all so much being on. I think we have like 200 and something people on. That's been fantastic. I hope that so many of you are listening to the recording. If you have any questions, I will check into the group afterwards and try to answer any of those. But I'm so excited to hear from Micah tomorrow, and I will see you guys again soon.